The time for large-scale, economy-wide emergency support is over. That is the message Treasurer Josh Frydenberg will deliver today in a landmark speech that will reveal Australia's economy is recovering faster than expected. Our business editor, Ross Greenwood, joins us live now. Ross, good morning. Does this mean the government has room for tax cuts in the forthcoming budget?
Well, given the fact the government's got plenty of money, it would seem that could be one thing, but it's not going to happen. In fact, what Josh Frydenberg today will flag is that there will be tax cuts, but in the future. In the meantime, the third stage of tax cuts, which have already been legislated, will come into play from 2024-25. And this will see the eradication of one of the tax scales and basically mean that anybody earning between $45,000 and $200,000 will pay no more than 30 cents in the dollar tax as their top tax rate. But the whole point about today's speech is to say that Australia now has the revenue coming through strongly as a result of the recovery to make certain that there is budget repair. In other words, that debt is going to be paid down and really the government is going to concentrate on really recovering its position. The interesting part about this is, of course, that inflation erodes away in real terms the debt of any organisation, any government, and really in many ways even rising inflation is helping that story as well.
Yeah, you've got two sides to this story, don't you, Ross? On one hand, you've got the budget that has been improved by the unemployment rate now at 4%, the lowest in a long while. Then you've got the commodity prices at the moment, you know, coal and iron ore, government riding a nice little wave there. But then you've got the rising prices on the other hand, which affects most people, fuel prices, the expected increase in interest rates. So how does that fit into that message?
Yeah, because the problem is that the electorate who are feeling those price rises are not happy about those. Now, it's really interesting is that even the Russia-Ukraine war is causing problems in supply chains. And as a result is, you know, we've seen fuel prices rise, oil prices go up, come down, go back up again. And, you know, you see even here the price of fuel going through. So this is the dilemma that Josh Frydenberg and also Scott Morrison face ahead of the budget and the election. How do you provide support for some in the community who require that support without really baking in long-term spending that really can't be scaled back? Because once you've given money out, as we know, it's very hard to bring it back.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, their former finance minister, Matthias Cormann, now, of course, with the OECD, has been out talking about exactly this thing overnight. Just have a listen to what he had to say.
The war is causing a strong supply shock, which adds to inflationary pressures and disruptions already caused by the COVID-19 crisis. There is the significant negative impact on confidence, which in turn will negatively impact private consumption and business investment decisions. There is the developing impact on energy and commodity supplies, as well as disruptions to international trade and financial markets.
But isn't the cost of living pressure going to eventually lead to bigger wage claims? If prices go up, as business deals with prices, the unions must have to start pushing, right?
Yeah, just has to, right, Pete? Because, you know that it's inevitable. And if you've got cost of living going up and people know it, you can see it in the supermarket. The only organisation right now that doesn't seem to acknowledge this in a big way is the Reserve Bank, which, of course, has kept interest rates low. We just saw a little strap there which said that the Bank of England overnight raised interest rates for the third consecutive month. We saw yesterday that the Federal Reserve in the US raise interest rates. So everybody understands that there is a response to inflation. But the problem is the Reserve Bank is waiting to see empirical evidence. The unions aren't waiting. And so as a result, what you've seen in the last little while is, say, the Electrical Trades Union have come out and basically said that they want pay claims will start this year. This is from Michael Wright at the ETU. Says our pay claims will generally start with a 5 or 6. Now, that's unheralded in Australia in recent times. Whether they get that 5 or 6 remains to be seen. But other unions also are going to be looking for those types of wages claims. So that's also something for government to have to try and manage, and that is rising wage expectations, because remember that the higher the wages go eventually, the higher the interest rates go when the Reserve Bank does catch up.
OK, from people who want more money to people who have plenty of money. 2 deals today that seem eye-watering, Ross.
Oh, yeah, this is pretty amazing, actually. So let's go to the first one, which is the Chelsea Football Club. Roman Abramovich, as we all know, has had his sort of ownership of that stripped away from him. There he is there, holding the cup. But it ain't going to be happening now because the bids close today, our time, on Friday. They're expected to be as much as 4.8 billion Australian dollars for the Chelsea Football Club. So, there's a range of offers, apparently, from consortiums in the UK, Saudi Arabians coming in to try and buy the rights. So the rights rights here, that is the television rights, are the absolute key, which is also the reason why in the United States, Amazon wants to buy the MGM movie studios, movie and television studios. Now, in this particular case, they're looking to pay some $9 billion for the MGM movie studios. And the most important asset of those that I would imagine is all of the back catalogue of James Bond. Here he is here, the great man himself. And Amazon, imagine what happens when their Amazon Prime offer gets all of the back catalogue of all of those MGM movies. That's the absolute key to that deal.
That's a big deal. They'd be taking on Disney as the king then, wouldn't they?
That's what they'd be doing. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Get big or get out is the idea.
Yeah, get big or get out. I like that. Thanks, Ross. Talk to you soon.
No problems.